One. And Rita Casman, welcome to the show. Actress, you were in LA and now you just moved to Phoenix. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I feel like I left LA because I go a lot there, for work and to visit my husband's family. But I mean, it's still like my house and my things are all in Phoenix. So yeah.
So entertainer, actor, freelance like myself, which it's definitely, definitely that's what I love to talk about is that hustle, that grind, especially nowadays. But and a life coach.
Yes, a lot.
So
I do things, but I don't mention them because it's just too much. So I'm like, I just summited entertainer and life coach. That's it.
Entertainer, yeah, absolutely. Like entertainer as far as all the different kind of content and anything behind the camera.
Yeah, I also do that. I write, I've produced, I paint. I mean, it's so much things, But yeah, what I mostly like to do is acting. But I do like, I haven't directed yet, but I really do want to do it. And I kind of did it when I did my short film and I was producing it. But it was kind of indirect because I did get a director because of I would have gone nuts there because I did so much for that production.
Yeah. I have a number of projects, and at some point I want to pass them off. Like obviously, I'm going to be the creator. I'm going to be not to blow my own head up a little bit, but obviously I have a general vision for this thing, but kind of like from a lazy, maybe it's semi-lazy, but I have so much I want to put out there that I'm willing to like let other people produce and direct and shoot and edit so that I can like kind of kickstart other projects and ventures and ideas that I have as far as film and TV. But also I'm kind of like a gambler in the sense that I want to, well, maybe not so much a gambler, but an experimenter of, okay, here's my idea. I have a vision, but I have so many ideas and so many visions that I'm willing to put them in other people's hands to direct and produce and just see what comes of it, see if it's cool. And so, I can appreciate that idea of you wanting to, direct, but that's definitely like, a hot seat to be put in, that's it's a lot of stress. I mean, I've directed some shorts and I've directed some music videos, and even that, like, shit, what if it's a feature? God.
Oh, yeah. That is the same, but it's longer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I went to acting school, but it's actually film school because New York Film Academy is a film school that had so much demand for acting, an acting division, that it started, I believe, like 12 years ago, because my school's like 25 years old. So I'm basically one of the first actors, or one of the first, how do you say that? Class, yeah, because I'm class of 2017, like one of the first people to graduate, because the first 20 years of a school, I believe, are like you're still a new school per se, right? So I am an actor with a film mindset. Like, they teach you that. I haven't seen another school where they teach you how to do everything. They taught me how to do everything because they told me, we want you to go on set and then know what other people are doing, even if you're new at it, because actors that have a lot of experience, of course, they're going to know what a gaffer does, because they're on set. But with me, I mean, they probably didn't go to film school or stuff, and they just went there and started learning. But in workshops, they don't teach you those things. And I'm, in my sense, I don't think film school is for everybody, or college in general. But in my case, for me, it was useful. It's better that I go and then do all my workshops and stuff. So that made me want to do even more. And the life coaching thing, it's just something that I always wanted to do, but didn't know if I would do it. And kind of same as acting, right? Because I just came from Guatemala like 5 years ago, and then it just sort of happened. So it's a thing that I've been preparing, basically both of my careers that I've been preparing like for my whole life.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more about, I think that's great that your school kind of threw you into a lot of production and just like film production in general. I graduated in '04, so that dates me, but I graduated in '04 with a bachelor's in film and TV production. And I didn't delve into acting until after the military, because I enlisted in the military, and you know, self-confidence and discipline and physical fitness, and so I was way more confident about myself then. Plus, I kind of looked at that as acting school, and I just basically just took, you know, all the law enforcement and military roles that I could. I said, typecast me. You know, I have all this real world experience as a military police sergeant. So there's both police and military. And so, you know, typecast me, put me in all these roles. It was also a way of me just just filling up the schedule on set, staying on set, whether it's behind the camera or in front of the camera. And one year it was all acting. And then the following year was back to a whole lot of crew work and some acting. And it was always flip flopping. But I thought to myself, I can play those roles. I have so much experience as a director, as an AD, as a producer, as a production manager, as a sound guy, as a camera guy. So I know, you know, a lot of the technical aspects of what they're going to want on set. So as an actor, I can give them what they want, and I can give them the basics of the character and the performance that they want, because I've done a lot of it in real life as a military corrections officer, as a military general police officer in the military. So I can do both of that.
It's so cool because they don't have to teach you how to do, like, say you were, because I don't want to typecast you, of course, but I do think that at the beginning you do kind of get typecasted because that's your beginning, right?
Listen, real quick. I typecast the shit out of me because I know where my strengths lie, and I love to work. Unfortunately, right now, I'm not going to go on set until there's a vaccine. But before, I was telling people, like, typecast me. If you're looking for a detective and you're willing to use me again in another episode, call me. Like, I'll do it.
Because I would, even though, let's say I'm just, because I've done casting too, I just see you, and for sure I would put you detective, and I would put you as military and all that. But let's say if I tell you, okay, I'll cast you as this, and you tell me you have all that training, oh my God, I'd be like, I don't have to teach him anything. He's gonna teach us, you know?
Yeah. And there's been a couple of times where I threw some pointers out, to a prop guy, or to like the AD, you know, simple things like maybe with the handcuffs, and, you know, you might want to do this and blah, blah, blah. And that's been few and far between. I'm real careful about being overzealous like that on set. You know, I'll stay in my lane, but maybe once or twice in the 40 different episodes that I was a detective or an officer or something like that. And there's been a couple episodes where I was a stepfather. I was a stepfather that his stepdaughter couldn't stand him. And so I was able to connect to the character and perform it, because years ago I dated a lady with kids. And the kids were kind of like, you know,
That
kind of offish to me. And so I was like, I could pull that off. There was a racist Islamophobic bouncer I played. And I was able to connect to that character because I knew a couple of people like that, some in the military, some not, just some like from decades ago. But I basically just emulated those people, those, you know, scumbags, and just put that in the performance. And so there's those onesies and twosies, but when I'm looking at casting notices, I'm always just like, I'll even do like a control F and like detective, and just like select, you know, like, let me just fast forward. Let me just fast track these kind of roles first. But enough of me. Rita CASMAN, what have you been up to? A little bit more about yourself and what you've been up to, and what you've been doing these days.
So these days I've been moving. So that's really important for me to mention it, because like I was saying before, I come from Guatemala. So I'm a first generation immigrant, right? Very Americanized in my country. People might say, well, Guatemala, they don't know anything about us. Yeah, we do, because we have, unfortunately, in this sense, my country is a very classist country.
Mm.
So we have two groups, the people that have money or that hang out with those people, or the poor people. That's how it is, right? I do see a lot of that here too, but where I'm from, there's a lot of more segregation that how it exists in America. So I come from a lifestyle where I was basically spoiled, you know, so people would do things for me. I wouldn't have to pack if I had to move, maybe just my things, but I didn't know anything basically. So when I came here, I thought that it would be easier for me because I have this great English, right? And yeah, in a sense I did. And I did, you know, grew up watching white people shows like Saved by the Bell and Beverly Hills with 90210, which I never
You watched
thought.
you watched the worst examples of
Yeah, the worst. But yeah, and that's how I was. So in my
yeah.
head, you know, I never, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not seeing myself there because I'm white, Hispanic, but I'm mixed also because I have Italian, Spanish, and I have a little bit of Cantonese. So for me, it was never, I never understood what racism was. I didn't know that I was living it either because of how people would treat me, like you're not from here, or how, you know, I was used to who would wait my table. But when I came here, I got married super fast because I fell in love like this, you know. I recognized my husband from another life. So I was here for 3 months, three months, had never been in the States, had never taken an airplane. Okay. So I came here, and after that time, I met this great guy. We got married in 3 weeks in Vegas, and it was my first time road tripping here. So everything was my first time, everything my first time. So, and then directly to film school, and then directly to auditioning, you know, everything has been direct because I'm prepared for that. But I'm also, I'll also, the rest I have to learn on the run. So that's why for me, it was better to go to film school, because that way I wasn't like, okay, I was auditioning and then I went to set and didn't know what I was doing, that I would get fired. No, I went to school, you know, and I learned those things. And I still had one experience where I was replaced and I was like, this does happen. So I started learning. And now the same thing, you know, moving and not knowing that I have to throw away things. I'm not used to that, you know? So yeah, now I get it. Now I'm like, that's why people, when they, you know, move, they just take one car. You know, for me, it's like, oh, I'll use a U-Haul. And my husband was like, do you know how much that costs? I'm like, no. So it's like, he forgets that I'm not fully American per se, because I'm still becoming, because of how I look and how I sound. So he's like, oh, I have to explain her those things. She doesn't know. You know, so it's like, it's not that I'm dumb or I'm not ignorant. I'm not used to those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's what I've been doing lately. And my latest bookings have included a comedy film that's going to come out this year, hopefully, if not next. Then I was in True TV for the Laugh Mob Laugh Shacks. That was really fun. I worked with Rusty Kundiv. He was one of the directors for, I believe it's called Movie 43, that movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The one from the sketches. It's super funny. So he's a great director. I adore him. And then I did, I was on a commercial for Toyota. That was really fun because I was in Spanish and in English. So I went to Austin, Texas, and it was really cool because, I mean, I'm not used to, you know, traveling that much. So I'm getting used to flying. I'm gonna have to fly a lot now. So I'm scared a little, but I'll do it. And to cut it short, I've always wanted to be an actor. I started acting when I was, or being an artist when I was 3. My first, or actually before that, and my first word was no, but that was at 3. I took a long time to talk. I didn't talk until I was 3. So I thought I would never do it, but I ended up doing it, because the thing is that when something is for you and it's your life mission, it just basically catches you and haunts you until it's the time. Because I went to school for communication and design in college. and I have a master's degree in international relations. You may think it has nothing to do with acting, but it does, because one of my dreams is becoming a philanthropist. So all of those things did help me like a lot. And being a life coach is also very healing for me, because I help people and I help myself. So I tell my stories. That's my mission, like in general, to tell other stories through mine, you know, and help other people to feel identified, basically. So I talk a lot about mental health, especially things that have happened to me, and other things that maybe haven't, but that I'm fond of.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. And it's, I think, yeah, I mean, I think you're blessed. We use, you know, me and probably every other guest that I've had on this show is just using the word blessed. And yeah, I mean, coming over here is, I'm sure it was just a different change, and it was humbling, and clear it was humbling for the better, you know, like, but blessed. I mean, like, it sounds like you just were just like streamlined right through, and right into like Toyota gigs. I had a couple of Toyota gigs too. Yeah. So filming wise, it's a funny story, because filming wise, it was regional. So I think it was the entire East Coast. It was just all up and down the East Coast here, this Toyota spot. And they gave me 2 scripts, and then they gave me this one sentence, and it was just for each individual dealership. And I had to redo this sentence like 80 times and just add a different dealership in there. And I think they chose me for about half of them, and they chose this lady. So the one I got, so my buddy lives in the town where they got the lady. He goes, bro, I think they cut you out, man. It's a lady. And I'm like, no, they chose me on these other spots. He finds one. It's like Brewer Airport in Pennsylvania. So he just keeps calling me up like, hey man, Brewer Airport Toyota. And like, Brewer Airport, that's the one that you saw. And you're giving me a hard time for Brewer Airport, Pennsylvania. So it's like funny little success stories that, you know, you can make fun of yourself a little bit, but at the end of the day, there's not many of us that kind of get, I don't know if it's luck or if it's just a, you know, blessing or whatever, but it's,
yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, it's like luck is just preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, you make it, right?
Yeah, you make your own luck. It's prep. I mean, because there's there's a million opportunities out there, but are you prepared for them? So, you know, you're making half your luck, and the other luck is just seeking out these opportunities, or when the opportunities are presented to you, you're able to grab them due to preparation. But
Denzel Washington says he's so right.
Yeah. But there, you know, I was able to get, you know, a couple of my buddies in some of these crime shows. It's U.S. Marshals, and then we watch it, and it was a very artsy scene, so they kind of blurred it out and did like this dark tint to it, and it was all super slow-mo, and we were almost like silhouettes. He's like, you can't even tell it's me. I'm like, well, I could tell it's you. And, you know, like, it's like this little success story that we know we did it. You'd have to really look hard and stare hard at it to tell it was us. But, you know, it's like, you know, some of those you can, you know, some of those I'm the lead, but some of those I'm just like, it's like this blurry shot of me. But, you know, it's like, it's thrilling, and it's kind of life affirming and fulfilling and rewarding. Even, you know, even though, you know, there's a lot of people that don't get it, but I think, you know, for us that actually do it, we get it. And
yeah, because we have to go through a lot. So for example, I've been here for 5 years. The money that I've made in 5 years is a joke, right?
You're right. Okay, maybe.
It's because and the number of odd jobs I've had, it's crazy. But the thing is that when you're an entrepreneur, which they forget to tell you, right? That's how it is. And it's not necessarily because you're attached to the thing about, well, I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. No, but these type of opportunities will get you there. So the price you have to pay is that, but it doesn't mean that you're not able to have it all. You can have everything you want. You have spiritual life, love, money, good health. You can have everything, but it's not perfect, right? So that's like the journey. So it's like people, like, for example, my family understand it more, but my family, they don't live with me anymore and they don't see me physically right now. So they're not gonna get it as my husband gets it. He is the person that most gets it, that has made me, you know, that has helped me become this American citizen that I'm becoming, because I'm taking my class, by the way, right now, in every way possible, from learning how to use a train until helping me, you know, while I stay put, because he's like, all of this investment and it's for nothing. I'm like, it's not for nothing. It's just that it's gonna take years. It's not gonna be in a month. I've seen people that graduate from school and then they go directly to Netflix. That's fine for them, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna be easy either. It's just when it's your time. I think that's the most important thing to say right now. Like, when it's your time. It's like, I did another little commercial for Ring, which, by the way, I got it, which is really cool. I don't know if you saw those commercials, if you've seen those commercials, but they're so cool. And I haven't seen my footage yet, you know, and I was like, where is it? Where is it? I'm like, they have it because they'll probably use it for something else, you know? So things happen when they have to. They never take more time. They happen when they have to, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Patience, persistence, just, I mean, I kind of got the discipline down to just Google Calendar events and reminders and boxes to check, daily boxes to check, weekly boxes to check, monthly boxes to check. Whether it's like, you know, I'd rather watch TV and a reminder goes off, I just go on there and I do what the reminder told me to do, you know, that task. And the next thing you know, and it was like, and I probably mentioned this every single episode, but I'm baffled about, you know, the kind of, whether it's blessed or whether it was some kind of hindsight. I always wanted to build, you know, like a simple home studio to shoot some stuff at, you know, at home and do voiceovers and do a podcast. And that's all it's been for the past 6-7 months. It's just been the podcast and some voiceover gigs and, you know, some ultra low budget web series that me and some colleagues have been doing, and that's it in this basement. And editing, and like a lot of editing and some remote editing projects. Not a lot, not as much as I wanted. A lot of corporate and industrial live streaming, virtual events and stuff, you know, doing a lot of live streaming from the basement. But, you know, had I not set this basement up and had that kind of simple idea to be persistent about, then there would have been a lot of catching up to, or I would have just probably not been doing this the way I've been doing it from the get-go. So, which, go ahead.
That's quarantine. That has made you, you know, basically survive this, because that's the thing. This is not easy, you know? This is adapting to something else, and it's going to be for anybody, either people that have gone through mental health struggles like me, or people that have never gone through mental health struggles at all, or no diagnosis, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it takes a bit, but you can make things be for the better instead for the worse, even when you're having some really dark times, you know, because that's when you know who really is a part of your life, you know, who's being with you when you're well and when you're not. So yeah, what were you gonna say? It brought you to something?
Well, that brings me to my next point. How have you been impacted by the quarantine? And
oh, that's really interesting. So basically, this is what has happened. When that happened, I had probably the only odd job that I've liked. I worked for the Britney Spears Museum in LA, which is called The Zone. So I have really weird taste, okay? I can like Britney Spears and I can like Marilyn Manson, okay? I'm actually really obsessed with his new song, by the way. But I really enjoyed working there because it was like a little Disneyland, you know? So I was a tour guide. So I had a lot of fun. And when everything closed, I was like, okay, you know, because you don't understand what the pandemic is until you start investigating what it is, right? So then I just got like depressed, and I was like, okay, no. But I had learned how to manage that depression ever since I came here, because I started, you know, looking for support and stuff like that. So then after the month, I just started to think like, hey, I have a lot of spare time. I have a lot of stuff that I could get done, you know, because of procrastination and stuff that have like in my acting career and to become a life coach. So I had ended up having all that done basically. And then my green card extension expired. So obviously I do have a green card, right? But I'm waiting for the one that you get a conditional one, and then you get a permanent one, which is for 10 years. And with that, you can become a citizen, right? So that kind of really got me, because without a green card, you know, like an actual green card that says that I can work, I can't work. So I'm checking with my lawyer what to do, because all of that time I've been waiting for 3 months now, either for an interview or for the actual green card. So it's like, this is not my fault, you know, like what to do. So I was told that I could still go for unemployment and whatever. I decided that I didn't want to go through it, because I want to show this government, I'm not to not say names, that I didn't come here for free money. I came here, because like seriously, you know, like people are like, well, people here just come and they just then they just ask for welfare and whatever, and they don't want to work. I'm like, hey, I do want to work. It's just that I can't right now. So what to do? So that has been a little hard, because not having like my money to like actually like even buy a burger, you know, that, I mean, being 36 years old and a professional, that is like, I don't say that it's going to be easy for somebody that is homeless or something. I'm not saying that, but in my case, that is very, you feel like you can't walk. I mean, it's really horrible. And then having my husband coming here and looking for a job and looking for a house and stuff, that took a while. So I was alone for a while in my apartment. So the beginning was like, because I'm a Libra, so I believe in that. Libras were very like, we need our space, whatever. So I was like, okay, let's say I'm single in my home right now, you know, fine. But then I started getting really depressed, and I just told that to Jordan not that long ago. I told him, I felt like you left me. He's like, but I didn't leave you. I was coming and looking for a new life, you know? I'm like, I know, but it did affect me. It's just that I didn't tell you anything, right? Because in my eyes, it was like, I don't want to worry you. But yeah, I did get depressed. So I got depressed in the sense that I wasn't crying, but I'll put it to you this way, because it gets hot, right? So you want to drink something that's not water. So I got some, you know, Coke Zero, or I like, you know, sparkling water. And my house was like Dupree when he went to live with his friend, you know, it was all full of cans and stuff. I wouldn't pick it up. I mean, that's how it affected me. But the most important part is that I have my alternate therapists, and I looked for help and support. So I haven't, the Zoom thing is very, very helpful, because even though we can't, you know, hug each other, at least I can see you, and at least you're talking to me and you're asking me that question, you know, as a friend, you know, as meeting me and stuff. But it does help me, because think about it, when you chat with people and you don't necessarily call them, when's the last time somebody asked you, how are you doing? That's an interesting question, right? So now I'm just basically adapting to this new space, because I'm not used to being alone in such a big house, you know. And by the way, I don't have a license yet, so I have to wait for the green card so I can get my license. So yeah, I know how to drive, but I never got a license here because I'm scared of driving. Okay, I'm like Bella Thorne, but I'm gonna get it, because here, I guess what, I need to drive. There's no other ways how to get to other places. So it's like, you are obligated to do this right now. So I'm just going to do it little by little. And I think that that's something very important that I have to mention right now, that we don't have to be hard on ourselves and say, well, the day has 24 hours, so you better get all these things done today, you know, not be lazy. But not every day you're going to have the same energy. So you just have to take day by day, you know, one day at a time, and not be so hard on ourselves, because that's when we have nervous breakdowns, basically, you know.
Yeah. And I can't agree with you more. Like the way the technology's kicked in, it's like Zoom's just been the tool the one tool that I've been using, and you know, they kicked it off. They knew what they were doing. But you know, like YouTube and all the streaming services, and I've seen a whole slew of new movies coming out, and it's either saying Netflix, Hulu, Prime, or Apple TV originals. You know, like they just skipping the theater, and they're putting these things out for us to watch immediately and semi immediately, but you know, from home. And it's, but yeah, I like you said, you know, adapt and adjust, and that's what this quarantine's done, is that it's really taught us to look outside the box, be more accepting. I mean, you know, you were concerned about your appearance, and you were concerned about the lighting in your place and your location, and I was thinking it's perfectly fine. And I think, and it's not, and not saying that we're producing less. It's just, it's a way more simpler kind of setup and production, but it's all this, but it's all the same ideas, and it's all the same content, and it's all the same sharing of ideas, you know, and positivity, I guess. But
yeah, lift up people, you know, because when you lift up others, you lift up yourself, you know, basically.
Yeah.
So it's just about, and so this is a time where we are really giving the importance that we have to give to artists to ourselves. Because you know what people say, right? Well, actors, their life is easy. They don't do anything. They just learn lines. No.
It's not that simple, but yeah.
Yeah, so we are making, I feel like the teams in all these offices that you just mentioned are working so hard. So we have the content to maintain us, and because not a lot of people are producing right now. It's too hard. So it's gonna take a while for that. I mean, I took a class in LA acting studios with David Roundtree, which he's the best, and all his team is the best. David Banks as well. And we all wore masks, and his idea was to do a scene that was like a jail scene, and have that, like, how's it called? It's like a glass, you know, the one where that's in the grocery stores whenever you go and buy. So we were able to take off our masks, only the people that were shooting, and that way they could shoot us and they could see our faces, right? But they had to take like courses and I don't know what other extreme measures so people wouldn't get sick. So it's hard. So not everybody can do this. It's going to take a while, especially without a vaccine, to see what we do and how life goes on, you know, but still safe at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, but I've noticed that what that's doing is that's causing a lot of people to, again, think outside the box, come up with more creative ways to still produce, but, you know, but then save money, because, you know, I'm doing a lot of these corporate industrial live streaming conferences, you know, like you mentioned, like Vegas, you know, like there's always these like tech conferences or Comic-Cons or whatever conventions and seminars.
You're right.
Huh?
They went virtual this year, the Comic-Con.
And they're all going virtual. And so, you know, you got a lot of these events, but I think in a year, they're going to take a look at that and be like, okay, we did this entire event virtual. It was all the same guests, all the same celebrities, all the same, you know, experts, with all the same PowerPoints, all the same presentations, all the same ideas, content, advice, new information. But our budget for the virtual was way down here. You know, in 2019, the budget was here. In 2020, the budget was here. Maybe come up with like a hybrid, but but everything was exactly the same, except it was all virtual. Everything was exactly the same. And the budget was a tenth of what 2019 was. 2020 was 1/10 of that budget. And so, you know, like
a hybrid. That's exactly what I was thinking, because it's a human touch is still important, right? But you know, there are still some not that, maybe 10 years ago, you know, or more, you know, of these things, those hybrids that you were talking about that have existed. Like, for example, somebody getting their Emmy that, you know, they show a video because they can't be there.
Right.
You know, So you can do both things, you know, and still make money out of it, you know? So it's, I mean, you definitely can do this, but this has also helped because I have taken classes of people in New York that I didn't even think I would ever take, or people were like, you know what, now we're giving all these Zoom classes. So they just found, you know, they already got adapted to that, and now they're finding other ways of making money,
Yep.
you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, since you've been quarantined and aside from watching your own stuff or trying to hunt down your own footage, what have you been binge watching or binge reading for? Have you been, you know, binge studying or training or just escaping?
Studying, training, sleeping, and
Yeah.
binge watching too. So one of my favorite shows, The Politician, right? I mean, I'm a big, like, huge, like, Ryan Murphy fan. And when I say Ryan Murphy fan, it's not just that I love him and his story of how he became a showrunner. It's his whole team, his whole, you know, his actors like Jessica Lange, you know, Sarah Paulson, and oh my God, I forgot the name of this guy. But he has, it's too many. I don't even have them in my head, you know, like if I see, I would have to show them to you. So, oh my God, Ben Pratt made just this amazing, you know, role of this guy. I mean, he made me laugh so hard. Gwyneth Paltrow made me laugh so hard. Like all those people made me laugh so hard. Like that was probably one of my favorite shows to watch. I've been watching old movies too, you know. Watch a lot of Rocky because Rocky, like the whole series, and Twilight too. Okay, yeah, I love really, you know, corny stuff, and I love vampires. But talking about Rocky, I lived with one, you know, my dad, he was a Rocky, you know, and my mom, she was like, I mean, she was an Adrian. I mean, and I was like Rocky's baby because when I was born, they took a picture of us, in which my birthday was just a few days ago. I told you, right? I'm 24th. They took me a picture and I had all this hair, which I have a lot too. So they would bug my dad and they would say, you have like Rocky's son, you know, because if you watch Rocky 1 or Rocky 2, I think it was, the baby has a lot of hair.
Yeah.
But they had the same, like, maybe not the same roles, but it's kind of like the same. Like my dad was super tall, my mom's super short, you know, and she used like those really weird glasses and looked like a little geek. And then my dad had a lot of hair and was, you know, bigger, and I don't know. It's super funny. So for me, it's very personal, that story, which, you know, all that Sylvester Stallone had to do to actually make Rocky 1.
Yeah.
Those things have helped me a lot. I've cried, laughed, everything, you know. I watch a lot this Mexican comedian, Eugenio Derbez. I adore him. I watched Overboard like 3 times because they made a remake, right, with Anna Faris. It is really fun. I love the original, but this one's really funny too. So I've watched that. I've been studying a lot of spiritual things that I've always wanted to study, but I needed the right guide for that. So I've been studying from angel therapy to also you know, the elements, you know. I've gotten like we call them covens because they're like groups of women, you know, that we talk about different things, and a lot of duality, you know, like the yin and the yang. So start to understand and really get why I'm like I am, you know, and also why other relationships, like I'm not hard on other people anymore or judgy, because I'm like, now I know why they are how they are. You know, astrology with Deborah Silverman, which is my favorite astrologer. She stings on astrologer. She's great. What else I said? Oh yeah, sleeping. So that has impacted me a lot. So I did lose weight at the beginning, and I did Beachbody, and I was like, woo, I'm so toned. Then I got tired of it because my apartment was not like a super small, but you get tired of that. I needed like more space, you know. I'm like, no. So I started eating super bad and I gained the weight again. So whatever. Okay, fine. I'll get healthy again, right? So the sleep pattern has also affected my my weight, because sometimes I want to sleep 10 hours and sometimes I can only sleep 3. So we were talking with my doctor, like, you need to eat better because this is not good for you. You're gonna go crazy, you can't do that. You have to like really, really take care of yourself, So I'm like, okay. But part of it was also because I was alone, because then I didn't have to pay any accountability to anybody, right? But now it's like, I did kind of, I was kind of accountable with my husband because we would FaceTime. But if I kind of like want to say a little white lie, I could, right? But now I can't because we're in the same place. So he's like, what have you been eating today? Have you slept? Stuff like that. Very little things. So I think that now I'm going to actually like rest, because I think that sleeping is one thing and resting is another. So I wasn't like I wanted to have, like I said at the previously, a big list of things. All of these things I have to finish this month. And guess what? Half of it, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. You just can't be, things are gonna, if I have a class on Zoom, for example, and it's either another hour and a half or 3 hours, that's a lot of time. If you think about it, if you work 8 hours in a day, taking off lunch hour, or because here in America, people just eat like 30 minutes. Where I come from, you get a whole hour off. So imagine if still you take off those 30 minutes and you think about 8 hours that you go to work. I was 3 of those hours in one meeting. I just have 5 hours left, so I can't be working 16 hours. I can be 16 hours on the phone or on my computer. I need rest from that, because Zoom gives fatigue, because this is a screen. You're not a live person here with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's gonna make me tired. It's gonna make you tired. You know what I mean? So this is energy. I'm exchanging energy through this device. I'm using the internet. So it's a lot of stuff, so I feel like that it took me a lot to organize, but now I understand, and now I see that I'm not failing. I'm actually succeeding. And if I failed, let's say, to have something on a certain like a deadline, and I didn't meet the deadline, I didn't fail, because I did everything I could to do it by that time, and then I'll just finish it, because it's not a deadline like on an office. Like, I need this report for this and this date. That's different. That's something different. But your own goals, you have to have 3 types of goals: short term, middle, and long. You can't just work with one or with another, because if not, then people say, well, you already got a house and you don't have goals. No, of course I do. Got a picture on my phone, I want a Volvo hatchback. That's my next second, and then I'll have kids, but I have to have something to happen to the future. If not, what I have to be motivated for, that's basically what I could say. I don't know what you think about that.
That's quite a lot. But no, I agree. And you have to take care of yourself. Believe it or not, there is a saying in the military that, like, if you don't take care of yourself first, no one will. There's NCOs, there's sergeants, there's officers and lieutenants and captains that are so hell-bent on looking after their soldiers and their troops first that they forget to like look after themselves. And they get overwhelmed, they get depressed, they get exhausted, they just crash out. And so, like, first things first, knock out your courses, knock out your certifications, go to your classes, focus on you working out first, because if you're crashing out, then you're no help to anybody else anyway.
Right.
And so, so that also goes to this, like, I have to take a day. I devote so much time to the wife and the kid. I devote so much time to the projects and the shows that I do have to take a day for myself to kind of relax, like you said, meditate, self-evaluate, just watch TV, sleep in a little bit. And maybe that's just one day out of a whole month. If it's just that one day, then the whole rest of the month, it's like I'm on point for the wife, the kid, the shows. When I say shows, I mean productions, the content, you know, the creativity, the scripts, what have you, the gigs. And so it's a fine balance, obviously, but
That's
then
the thing,
again,
the yang that I learned.
the yin and the yang, it's
Can't
just the
go
balance, really.
here, just like you can't just go to darkness, you know. It's just like you have to, we're dual beings, you know, because
Yeah.
it's, you know, trying to not fall from when you're climbing a rock or something, I don't know. So it's just like you have to like be careful about it, because that's something that I learned, because I was like, but if I'm just like doing a lot of like happy things, I also get like, this is not me. So I need a little bit of darkness, you know. I need a little bit of like metal music or something, you know, because I just can't be in the euphoric state all the time. I mean, it doesn't work that way. So the same thing when I was packing all my stuff. In my mind, I was like, well, this apartment's little, I'll pack it in a day or two. Yeah, I did it, but guess what? That is 5 years of my life. So I moved a lot of things that I haven't moved for a very long time. So I got depressed, you know. And it's like, okay, am I attached to this place? What's wrong with me, you know? And it's like, my husband's like, because that's why you do it little by little, because if you do it all together, then, you know, you didn't even throw away stuff. You're a little hoarder. I'm like, yeah, I think I am. Because in LA, what's life in LA, you know? Oh, let's sale here, sale there, or I want to have this, you know, for status or whatever, you know? So I started to see that I was attached to things because they costed me money. So, and then I take this, I don't know if you've heard of Mind Valley, but I do take this course that I took that's called Abundance Attracting or something like that. There's an episode, it's called Clutter. And I took it with Marie Sheldon, as you're saying, if you pay, you know, things that you have cluttered or that you don't use much, and you use it with the card, guess what? They are controlling you, because you're still paying them and you're not letting go of them because they were expensive for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, no. So if I don't do this, I'm not going to allow good things to come to me. So I'm not lying. I probably, because I do have more clothes than other people, because you don't use this for acting, right? I need something that's a solid color. So that's fine. That's acceptable. But it's not acceptable to have 15 big trash black bags full of just clothes. It's too much clothes, even if I have enough closets here, you know? So it's like so it's like I have to have for the 4 stations, because I'm gonna go to New York, you know, to work, whatever. But I can't have all of these things, you know? It's like all of that made me realize, you know, so I just think about, I'm very, very fond of people that are living in apartments that have less space than me, because you go crazy. And thank God you could just put your mask and you know, have social distancing and maybe take a walk or something. But what those people that can't walk, I don't know. That's what makes, that's what I've been thinking about, you know, how this is a journey for all of us, but we're not all going in a boat, you know. Some of us going on a comet, and some of us on an airplane, and some of us in a really, really little boat, you know. I mean, it's challenging. It has to make us better. It can't make us worse. I really doubt that this can make us worse. It has to make us better. It's made me better. Yeah.
Well, taking from that point, what's next on the agenda? What's the next set of goals next on the agenda for, say, the next 6 months to a year?
That's very exciting. So get this, I met you on LinkedIn, right? And I also met another person. I've met some people on LinkedIn and like on workshops that I've taken, like Brett Ratner, Ratner, sorry, I didn't pronounce it too well. He was the director of Rush Hour. That's the one I have in mind. He's one of my favorite directors. So I met people like him, you know, on Zoom, stuff like that. And LinkedIn, stuff like that. So that has really helped me. And one of those people that I met was this British coach. So she's in London, right? And she found me, and she told me that she was giving this 10-week program program to British up your accent. And I'm a person that has always been fond of that's British, but obviously it's not just that I don't have it well. It's just that when you are learning a dialect, you're learning another language. So she's going to teach me everything, not just about the pronunciation, but the actual how their mannerisms, how they speak, why they say this and that, so very little things that are going to actually make me like that, And then when I go there, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go there soon, it's going to feel like more home. So she's like, that's why when you came to America, that was easier for you because you already spoke like that. And you had, there's a lot of brands and stuff like Hard Rock Cafe and stuff like that we have in Guatemala. So for you, those things, you knew where you were going, right? It was the same thing. But I'm really excited to start my program in November because it's something that I've always wanted and that is part of my brand. So my brand is basically that Latina girl that's not from here or from there. That's a borderline God's party angel and also the wacky witch girl, So it's like very like that. So I'm a comedian most of the time, but I can do like Shadow Wall, my award-winning film, which is about borderline personality disorder, So those things I'm very happy to do because there's a lot of like these, because I do spiritual stuff, right? There's a lot of these witchy shows going on, like Cursed and like The Witcher and those things. So I'm going to be able to get into that because of my because of that dialect. A lot of those people are British or speak British. So I'm going to be able to do that, so I'm very excited for that. Also, in the next 3 months, I'm finishing up a lot of these trainings that I'm doing. I'm probably, there's so many that I have that I'll probably have enough for a few other months of next year. Who knows, So I'm happy I have stuff to do. And I'm also very excited of being here. I'm starting to meet people from the entertainment industry here in Phoenix, get an agent here because I think it's going to be better to be represented here. Who knows? I mean, I still have to think about that, but because of my green card and thing, so I told my agent that it wouldn't continue working because I don't know what I'm gonna do. She can't be waiting for me, So, and then what else? Oh yeah, still a lot of looking also to get to other people. So I'm working with this place. It's called the School, which they also give me trainings. So they're located in New York. So they opened this coach program and I entered it. So after I finish the coaching, I'm going to be able to coach people, through Zoom. So that's super cool. And then looking, I had no idea that we had like Univision and Telemundo, Arizona. So
you didn't?
Oh my God!
I think we had that here. In DC.
But LA is like, I didn't have a car for 5 years. Okay, don't ask me how I did that, but I did it because all the money would go to my training, right? But here, I need a car. So if I have a car, I can work wherever I want. So I want to look for a job there, and also because I like the hosting thing. I like everything that has to look with the I can do everything. So it's like, let's see how that goes. That way I can use also my Spanish, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that about like LA and Arizona because I forget what movie this was.
Which one?
It might have even been the show The Shield, or it might have been this movie called Street Kings with Keanu Reeves. But anyway, but I can't exactly remember what movie it was, but somebody was in LA. It was a cop, and somebody asked him, like, "Do you speak Spanish?" He goes, "No, I don't speak Spanish." And the guy's like, dude, you live in LA. You need to speak Spanish. And it's like, yeah, no shit. And even like, you know, even around here, you know, in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, you know, it's I mean, it's very multicultural. I think just about coastal states, I guess, maybe. New York. If you live in New York, you need to speak. You should know Spanish. And if you live in LA and any southwestern state, should probably know some conversational Spanish.
But it's so hard to want to learn that because look, my husband, he just knows bad words. I mean, he can't, but he does understand when I say some things.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And for sure, when I get mad, I need to talk in Spanish, right? Because with me, I'm a special case because I started speaking when I was 3. So I started speaking Spanish, right? But I started going to kindergarten, obviously when I was 5, but I started learning. I went to bilingual school all my life. So I learned English when I was 5. So I kind of learned both languages at the same time. So there's some things that I can tell you in Spanish and some things that I say them in English because I don't know how to say them in Spanish. But I live with him and he, you know, it's just hard because you're used to just speaking English. So you're scared of learning another language. You know, you're scared they're going to make fun of you because of your accent. And I'm like, now you see how it is because he always like, I want you to make an accent. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to take those classes because I don't know. I've tried to sound, you know, like if English were my, like my, I don't know, 3rd, 4th language. And I can't, I need to take those classes, which I'm taking with Second City, by the way, through Zoom. Like I couldn't take those classes if it weren't for Zoom. I'm telling you. So yeah, it has, I now I understand. I don't judge other people anymore why they don't want to learn another language. It's scary stuff.
But even more so, I mean, kind of touching upon, you know, taking advantage of, you know, the shelter in place, the quarantine, and taking advantage of reaching out and seeking out new opportunities, and way more opportunities are out there now. Like you'd have to go to Chicago maybe to do Second City, I think.
Yeah, also have it, but imagine me, I had no car, so to go all the way from Highland Park, Pasadena per se, South Pasadena, to Melrose, I think it's like, well, I wait and stuff. I would take sometimes 2 hours to go to an audition. I would just be there 15 minutes, goodbye again, you know, because I couldn't always pay for an Uber. So now I can save myself because it's not just about the time, it's about the energy, about waiting. Oh my God. I mean, so right now that I see all the things that I've done, I'm like, no, what I did took some guts to just leave half of my closet, take 2 pairs of luggage, a handbag, and say goodbye to my family, kind of, you know, and there was $70 in my pocket and 1 semester paid and no more money, you know, and just come here with my uncle. And he's like, I'll take care of you for a few months. And then I didn't think it was going to be just 3, but I mean, he could have taken more care of me if I needed to, but then he had to move out. So everything happened exactly in synchronicity. So now I see that what I did, it's not like, oh, for me, it was easy. No, that was, I mean, because for us, you know, foreigners, we're like, well, but if you're American, you can live in any state. It's so hard because it's different cultures. I didn't know what federalism was. I didn't understand that. I had to take a class. And now I was talking with my father-in-law. He's like, but I took a citizenship class to, you know, graduate high school. I'm like, what? They make you take those things? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, but see, we don't know those things. We just don't know those things. We just don't know. We have to ask.
Yeah, gotta ask, or you know, like check up on these things. But so what if there was one last bit of advice, or one last a couple of points, or one last point you want to make to our viewers? What would that be?
I would say to really, and not even when all this pandemic is over, because this is not going to be forever. Okay, still entering to, because we're still in this period where we're going to enter new phases until everything stabilizes. It's not new normal. No, it's a new phase, another phase until we get, you know, to a pandemic free life. So even when that happens, we have to learn how to take one day at a time and really know what it is to be persistent and tenacious and brave and patient, you know? So we really have to like do what makes us happy and what the dream that we have. Because if we keep on listening to these voices here or voices outside, we're never going to do it. So you just have to like really pick those people that are going to be the 100% of what you are, you know, those 5 people that are going to sum that what you are, you know, because if you just hang out with people that are negative, you're going to be negative. So that, and for sure to look for support, you know, let's stop with the stigma about, you know, looking help is weak. I think that looking for help is strong, actually, because I'm accepting that either I have a problem or that I need help with something. You know, I'm not just doing it by myself. That's not life. That's a life that your ancestors or whoever put you that mindset in your head. But you can really have it all. You know, you can have it all. You can you can change, you know, people can change, but it's just it's a decision, you know, and that you really have to learn how to heal and see what are those things that no longer serve you, that come from either your family or from things that you've heard outside, that will help you get to where you have to get. Because it's not about being famous. It's not about just having money. It's about seeing it from a spiritual side. And it doesn't, and if you don't believe in any religion, fine, don't, you know, just look for something that's going to unite you to a whole, you know, because it's necessary. That's why it exists, you know. I mean, if you like, for example, for me, I tried some religions and they didn't work, you know, so I prefer to look my path for spirituality. So it's not, I'm talking bad about those. It's just that for me, it didn't work. So you look for what works for you. Give time to family, talk to people either through Zoom, Facebook, or something. Tell them how you are, ask them now how they are as well. Exercise. I'm not telling you go 2 hours and do all these weights I used to do and that I have to start again, but do something, you know, eat well, sleep well, because that is necessary. If you live a good quality of life, you'll attract the best for you. Abundance in every way. It doesn't matter if we're in a pandemic, you'll get it. A lot of people have become actually rich in this pandemic, if you and that way. So yeah, those are the, I know it's not like a sentence, you know, but I think that little bit is gonna help you. And it's always a great day to start something new. I don't recommend it in Mercury retrograde because communication gets a little slow, but there's you know, if you don't believe in that, we'll start whenever you want. I mean, follow your intuition, because that is part of us to protect us and to help us do things, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Rita CASMAN, I can't thank you enough. It's fireball of energy and positivity and motivation, and it was a blast. You know, this was a very easy show for me to run, because it certainly wasn't boring, and it was pretty much nonstop. I think we hit that 1 hour mark, so that's phenomenal. Yay, but any socials, links, plugs you want to put out there?
Absolutely. Look, my most active ones are LinkedIn and Instagram, and they're at Rita CASMAN. LinkedIn, obviously it's a link, but if you just put Rita space CASMAN, you'll find me. I have the same picture. It's me with a orange gloss and a ponytail, a curly one, because that's my natural hair. And then you can find me on Twitter as well as Rita CASMAN. And Facebook fan page, if you put Rita CASMAN, the same thing. So those are the ones that I use. I'm also on Snapchat. I don't know what's my thing there, but there I mostly put things that I used to put on TikTok, but now I got scared of that thing, so I just erased it because I don't know if it's ever gonna come back. But I there just like put funny videos or stuff like that. But I usually like repost them to my other social media. If you have IMDb, you can also look me as Rita CASMAN. and you'll always find me. How I do it. And the best secret for anybody, even if they're not actors, always put the same picture so they'll find you. You know, it's just easier.
Yeah, I've done that. I think, you know, based on what brands I have, it might be, you know, one picture's different, but it's either it's anywhere between 1 and 2 pictures on all the things. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's got to be like that same picture.
If you want to check my videos, you can go to Vimeo, and you can also put RITA CASMAN, and you'll find there a bunch of my stuff.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Same picture on everything, because a lot of people will have like all sorts of different pictures on all sorts of different things, and you don't know who you're dealing with. So, or it's confusing. But yeah, try to be as little confusing as possible. Well, Rita, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. It was a blast. So, you know, a lot of times it's just fun to let somebody else take over the show, and I could just sit back and relax. Like you said, sometimes you have to sit back and relax. So, but thanks again. It was a lot of great ideas, a lot of great stories, a lot of just great positivity, and a lot of great advice for our viewers that are, you know, any other creatives that are trying to figure out what to do. But yeah.
Teaching me, because this is actually my first podcast, so now I see the difference between an interview and a podcast. It does have a difference, so it's really cool that you taught me that, so I have that experience now, so I'll never forget it.
Well, you know, this podcast, so yes and no, but you know, some podcasts are just like straight up interview, hard questions, you know, hard rock, you know, very, very specific questions with a very specific agenda. But you know, as far as my agenda goes with this podcast, it's just about, you know, conversing with co-creatives, you know, fellow creatives, and figuring out, you know, what it is that we're doing and how we're surviving, how we're persevering, how we're pushing through this sucky time, and making it not a sucky time.
Exactly. Yes,
yeah,
we can.
We will prevail. Absolutely. Well, Rita, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your life with us, essentially. To my viewer,
Listen, thank you for listening. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, to my viewers, I hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know my guest has. And until next time, you know what to do.